Well, hello again. Again, again, and again. Nah, you don't know what's going on. But this is actually, wow, attempt number 4 to try to get this recording done. My first attempt was probably about 3 hours ago. Well, that's when it finished. And that was when I did the original recording with me talking and everything. And you can see there was about 9 minutes there that I've got clipped off of this because that's the recording, right? And that and the game sound came through fine, but uh, the mic was muted. And the thing about it is there's two places to mute this. There is one with the microphone itself, your normal one with your sound system, right? But there's another one inside the recording software. And when I record the game stuff, I don't see anything else, right? I do a hotkey, I see it start, and then I'm full screen in the game and I don't see anything. So I don't know if the mics are on. I don't know what the volume levels. I don't know anything. I'm not a content creator per se. I I just do this for fun, and I just do this as to share. I don't have any investment in this at all, right? So I'm just trying to use default stuff that's on my machine, and this is kind of an old machine. I run into some memory issues and stuff because I got 8 gigs of RAM on here, but by the time I get the game going, Discord going, and then I turn on recording, I start running out of memory. It's not so much processor intensive. I just start running out of memory. 8 is a little tight for that. If I were to open a browser at that point, yeah, then all of a sudden, if I go back into the game is lagging, and that's purely on my side. So, um, but the other thing too is I've been very, very, very busy at work. This is our crunch time coming up on the holidays, and holidays are change freezes for us. So we're trying to finish off a bunch of stuff. With that in mind, I worked last week and the week before, but like last week alone, uh, Tuesday day, Tuesday night, Wednesday day, Wednesday night, Thursday day, Thursday night, all worked. And then I worked Friday day. I was in the new clan, so then I spent a little time Friday night um, doing a little playing around with them, and then running a few matches. Not too much, but then I took off, went up to my cabin, came back, and work, 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 work again. So uh, I only just got on today for a little bit of time. And so I thought, oh, you know what? I squeezed a few things out on the in betweens, but I started all of this babbling because the whole point was to kind of share. It wasn't ever about showing my gameplay. There's nothing particularly special about my gameplay, not really. There's a lot of better players than me, and my new clan is stuffed with the bastards. Oh well, you know the thing of it is though, they can go do their high end squad stuff and whatever. Um, I'm pretty content being in mid champs because it's like I said before. If you want to be up at the top, you got to put a lot of time in. You got to play a lot of matches. It's not casual anymore at that point, right? And I don't want to be there. And if you get below where I am, well, then you got to deal with all the tankers and all the other kind of nonsense. And so it's imperfect, but where I am for what I want, this is mid champs is about the best place. I'm not a high champ competitor, and those guys can take me, but I have a good enough hanger and close enough. I'm not penalized because of anything, by the matchmaker that I don't run into those guys too often. And when I do, um, you know, I go down, but it's not a total just flick of the wrist and kiss him goodbye, right? It's not a total curb stomp, unless it's a squad. And then what you're gonna do? Those upper end squads are vicious. I'll give you an example. Like let's say Iron Stars. Let's say you're gonna go up against Iron Stars, right? Well, if you're gonna go up against Iron Stars, then be prepared for the fact that they are going to come marching out with a boatload of tests, all meta deck tests, all of them running UE UE Avengers with the UE Havoc and a pair of UE Shredders, and I mean up and down the line, and then they are going to try to drop their Titans anywhere from a minute and a half to 2 minutes in, all 6 of them. So if your team doesn't have Titans down by 2 minutes, you're gone. And they will drop 3-4 UE Arthurs and a couple of backup things. I can't even imagine with the Nodens now. You know what I mean? So, and like I said, that just gets so serious, and you got to put so much time in. And there's guys in the clan I'm in now that are like that, but I'm not like that. And so, you know what? I have no problem not necessarily being a part of that, right? Because it is such a time sink. At any rate, too, the other thing that I wanted to, I'm not going to talk about in this one so much. I'm going to try to pick up the next time I do something when I have the live game screen in front of me. And the reason is there was one other change that came through with the event. I didn't notice it at first, but I was looking around and then I saw it. And it's kind of, I think it's kind of an important one. And I don't think it'll show up. And I think the reason they did it is because the change will not be obvious, but it will be felt. So I'll give you a hint. It has to do. There was a video back a bit for the couple that make it through these things is where I ran into a Heichi with storms that just kicked my butt, but it threw me off the damage it did. Because you get really used to what you take from what, right? And I was looking at it, I was like, nothing seems really out of the ordinary except for one thing. I saw what looked like in the pilot skills, the storm was listed twice, and for the skill that tightens the shot grouping, right, gives it a 25% tighter shot grouping. That was listed twice, and that's what the change has to do. The one that was introduced in this patch. But I'll when I can show it, I'll talk about it a little more because I have something I can show to go along with that. Let's see here. Well, let's get this party started. Let's get the review going. There's 2 matches in here that I kind of enjoyed, which is why I was pushing for this 4th time. That and the fact that I really, it's been so long, and my goal is not to let this slide. I don't always have stuff to babble on about, but I do have enough nonsense that I don't intend to be inactive. Life gets the best of me sometimes right now. Now in this one here, I was looking over there and I'm like, oh look, 3 stealthers, pass, not going down there. And then I see my guy going to the other test up here with me going the other way towards the top, and I'm like, okay, fine, I'll go down. So I fire one down and I thought, oh my god, did I just overshoot it? But no, it was perfect actually. Right on the other side here. Got this little guy going mano y mano. Love you long time. Oh, He came down. He didn't realize I was down here. It was a great shot. I don't normally. I usually overshoot so much. You know, it's hard to tell. Now I am trying to be a little bit more restrained, a little bit more team-oriented, a little less purely running through the backfield kind of guy. It's tough because when you're solo like I am all the time, the only thing that really gets you ahead is damage. And wins are important, but they're not, because it's not like you're one person in 6. You know, you really just don't have that much control unless you're just grotesquely overpowered. And you know, I aspire to grotesque overpowering. But you know, it's not where I'm at, you know. I'm just mildly overpowered. How about that? Now you notice that I fired my teleport, it didn't go off. I die sometimes because of that, you know, not going off. You know, there's a Demeter here that gets in the way of a perfectly good kill. And see, that's where those can be annoying, right? If slightly different situation, that might have been a bummer for me. What I did notice though is that little Demeter was just teeing off on me the whole time. I was fighting that guy, and there I am, look. And he's still teeing off on me, and there I go. I got down to 43k. He almost got me. That's why he didn't leave that spot. And I didn't realize right away, but then when I realized, I was like, okay. Share the love. But, you know, in the upcoming rebalance, to be charitable, the Demeter looks like it's going to come out as one of the winners from that. I don't know that it's going to, you know, actually make it meta, but it's not getting hit like everything else is. You know, I try not to be too concerned about all the changes coming. I try to be a little bit more realistic with it, you know. No, I don't mean to say realistic. That's a bad way to put it. You know, as other people are being unrealistic. That's not true. I try to be objective about it, so that I don't put my particular feelings for any particular bots or setups in the way of what I think is reasonable. For example, if I look at most of the ultimate nerfs coming in, to the Leech, to the Griffin, to the Tulums, to the Havocs, to the Arthur, to the Groms, and to the Hussar. You know, all but the Hussar, you know, as much as I would like to complain about them, if all of us are honest, the Havoc and the Tulums were grotesquely overpowered. The Griffin's blinding was made it for, at a certain level, you know, within a certain league, darn near impossible to deal with for them, right? Depending on the map. And, you know, the Ultimate Arthur and the Ultimate Groms, you know, gotta admit, the only thing of it is I'm worried that they're going to take the Groms down to the level of the Squalls or whatever, which are useless. Oh, one thing, you know, here, the last thing you saw me rolling along with the bear, I was off in space. I didn't even realize how much damage I took, right? I didn't realize that he had mowed me down to 45k, you know? So that's just me not paying attention. Now, granted, I was babbling at the time, but that's no excuse. I think this match was pretty much El Toste. But you know, I mean, realistically, you know, again, not realistically, objectively. Even though I have some of those items, I recognize that, you know, they're a bit much sometimes. So I'm not too stressing it. And the other thing too is, you know, the breadth of all the changes. You know, there's no real good way to know how that's actually gonna shape the game. There's just no way to know. There's too many changes to say I know where all the ripples are colliding and what those outcomes are going to be, right? So, And I was pretty keen to get the new Titan, and I was pretty keen to see if they, because I'm not getting the node in, to see about the if it was within the realms of possibility for me to get when they come out with the ultimate Typhon, because I was a big fan of the Cerebus and the Typhon. You know, I used the Cerebus for a long time until I got the Typhon, and I ran 2 Typhons for a while, so I would get a kick out of that. I'm just worried that they'll do it like the Ultimate Ravana, which means, you know, you don't really ever see them. It's going to have 4 mediums, so that goes into my territory of meaningful damage, right? 3 mediums is bare minimum. 3 mediums or 2 heavies. That's 4 lights, 3 mediums, 2 heavies, and 4 lights are slightly under par. That's what it takes to do minimal damage, right? And you really prefer to have above. You know, unless the Teth has above it. The sword has more than that. The lance has more than that, right? You'll notice that the Ravana, the Heichi, the Leo, they all have that same level, right? The Nuo, on the other hand, it's got a better rating because those are actually 2 mediums and a heavy, so it's above that marker. So that's why it's got the punch that it does. So, you know, something to keep in mind when you're looking at the bots is, you know, how what's the mount point? How many light, medium, heavies they are, and is it going to be doing minimal damage? If it is, if it's got a below the what I consider the minimal rating, like a Raptor, then it's got to be extra tough, like the Raptor, right? Otherwise, you want more. So the Typhon having 4 mediums, yeah. See, in this case here, I would have normally wanted to go over the top, but I decided to come back, and in turning around, I noticed that these guys are back here sweeping through my guys. So I'm playing a little more defensive lately. Being a little more watchful of the back of the line. Especially on Moon here. Because if you think about Moon, really you're just battling for 3 beacons. 2 on your side and the 1 down in center, depending on which level you want to go. Because if you go up that ramp and you come off the other side, unless you've got a jump or can fly, you don't go back. It's kind of a one-way thing. It's designed that way so that you're forced to go back through the middle or all the way around, take the long run around the outside. So for the most part, if you go over that center piece, you have to be prepared to commit. And so, really, in there I went down right there, you know, and you'll see that happen a bit when you go over that side. Really, I think what you really need to do on this one is you need to hold the line. You need to just take those 2 on your side and fight that center beacon. Because if 3 beacons for, you know, 70% of the match and you win. End of story. So here I decided to use my homage to Rusticus. Yeah, he's got the needle on his, but you know that only offers like 11k shielding maxed. So I'm like, nah. I don't know that it makes really any significant difference, and so I decided to put something on there to maybe try to lock something down to give me a chance to get away. I like this build though, and I give Rust a lot of credit for it because really, the whole point of this bot is the mines. You know, anytime you try to fight with it toe to toe, you go down. They're really not built for it. So, you know, to throw the ansels on it and the needle and stick a phase shift on it, that is really the best way to make that thing run. And I've run it a couple times defensively to help hold a beacon down and really stretch things out. And you know what? It's very good for that. So a good call there, Rust. Hats off to you. Keep up with the good ideas. I like it. I'm using it. See, now here, once I go over this side, if I want to do anything now, especially with something like this, I can't. It's a long way around, takes me out of the match, or now I have to commit to, you know, what is their most easily defended territory. I was surprised by that. I thought he was, usually you can hit those things multiple times. So I decided to, yeah, okay, we'll put a little, try to apply a little pressure. Because when I drop this, I can't take center. It can't get close enough to take it. So that's why I said, okay, fine, I'll go all the way around. And the goal really just being to soften them up a little bit. It seems to have worked out relatively well. This guy here, he's going to give me a little boost. He's going to go up to a nice little altitude and let me get a free shot. You see where my crosshairs are? He went right into where those crosshairs were. It's like, yay, freebie. I don't know what he was thinking. I think people forget that you can shoot the weapons without actually having a target. You know, for anything that doesn't require a lock-on. Get used to it often enough and you can take out the stealthers as long as you can get on the same plane with them. This was a suicide run. I knew it. I can't really deal with the Fujis in an ultimate lance. They can, as long as I can't get sight on them, their mines will take me. But I wanted the beacon because look at the beacons. That put us in position to have 4 beacons. It was worthwhile. Finish off the game, my bread and butter. This is how you take care of a Kaji. No, really, these matches that I had here, they were all pretty good. I mean, even the loss, it wasn't horrible. It wasn't like some of the ones you get where either you run into like, a mean old squad and y'all just get spawn camped almost instantly, or where you drop into one and you got, like 4 campers on your side and It doesn't matter what you do, you can't pull it out, right? Diet do that which keeps me awake. My coffee. Now this one here is just one of the usual kind of stuff. And this one here, it wasn't so much that I think that, you know, we really overpowered them as much as these guys just didn't move much. And you see, because they had guys that set the back to camp and a couple of guys that went for beacons, and they're just slow, very slow to get around. And most of my guys aren't like barnstorming at all. Nobody's just charging in crazy to get them, so it's not like a true spawn race. But you know, they just really didn't really work their way out of there. Go help my guy up here. Go grab a beacon if I can. And that's when I realized, it's not really, don't really have the spawn, you know. Get out of here before he chops me up. So, mostly a spawn camp, right? Just have to use a little bit of diligence in positioning. You know, taking out a sword is like taking out a Samjack. It's just to feel good, right? It's just to feel good. Boom. See his mistake? If he would have stayed down there until I got down there and then went up, he might have had a better chance. But he rose right up into my spinning ring of fire. So now we're just marching around waiting for the clock. There it is. Yeah, I'm curious to see what will happen to the meta when they drop it in there. It's that's a lot of changes. It really is. There's really no way to make a good idea of the outcome. The only one I think is where they might be going a little egregious, and I get it, is with the Ultimate Lance. That thing might get nerfed into oblivion. Pix does that sometimes. They nerf things so hard they never get used again, or rarely, right? Look at what they did to the Devourer. See, in this one here, you can look 3 million damage, 3.8 with 10 kills. These guys were all soft. Look at this. So now, if you remember me talking one time about what the matchmaker does when you between 2-mans and 3-mans and higher, how it's kind of unfriendly that way. Well, here's another thing that it does. You got a 2-man here. If you look at the 2-man, you got a guy in low 5s and still pretty low 5s, right? And the highest guy is 5.2. And then you look at everybody on my side, and they're all low 5s. Highest one is 5.3. Everybody else, though, is literally barely off 5,000. And then you got me, and I'm at about 6,500. So I'm like 1,200 off the next closest one. That's what it does to the two men. Okay, you got a two men in there. I'm not gonna pitch you against the squad. Uh, Two of you down at 5,200 or lower, you should be able to deal with a mid champ, and so they dump one in. And that's why I'm the out of whack one there. I'm the out of whack one there because I was the counter to the two man. Oh yeah, this is one of the good matches here, one of the fun ones. Now, one of the things to consider, like on this board, is it's very possible on a long board like this to get two beacons. Well, not all long boards. Can't say that because look at like Canyon. Nah. Anyways, though, I played this game a little bit more defensively because it's a long one, and I want to try to get into the habit of standing on 3 and only going to number 4 if everybody's kind of moved forward and are there for the 3. If not, stay on the 3 and just fight for those 3. And you'll notice here, if you look at this, look in the background, you don't see any of my guys moving forward. All of their guys now have moved forward. I look back, there's my guys. My guys aren't even defending that beacon. They're all still over there. Now there's one guy, and you'll see that a lot, where you get one guy that moves up, where 2 guys will be the ones that move and 4 people sit in the back. Now, this is where I'm going to throw in the whole school of fish thing. It's not necessarily that they're bad players, it's that they're reticent. I call it school of fish. Reticent's probably a nicer way to put it. But they're very hesitant to move forward unless they feel like it's relatively safe to do so. And so it's only after I'm up here holding this for a while that what? You'll see these guys start coming forward. Right? If I had left that center right after I got it the first time and teleported up to the next one, these guys would not have moved forward. And so there is some value in operating with a little bit of restraint that way. So that's what I'm working on. Restraint. Not blasting around all over and really keeping track of ground. Now my guys moved up, so now I'm going to try to move up. Right? I'm going to try to get rid of this little troublemaker and try to move forward. Apply a little pressure. But I moved at a slower pace than before. See, and I'm checking. Those guys are still back there. We still have home. See, now they're moving forward. Now they're moving forward. They're just reticent. These guys here are just reticent. I am just running away so I don't get chopped up. And I didn't make it. Now, though, I'm going to fall into not so much trying to get damage as much as trying to hold some ground. This is a long map, so I'm bringing out my long baller for Titans, this one. I find that I have the best luck with the Bjorn for these because when it goes into its bear stance, it can outlast most other things with arbiters and that. So now it's not as tall as the Arthur, so the Arthur's nice because it can shoot over a number of barricades and that, but I'm still happy with this. Now the interesting thing is once they got beaten, they went back. They're not moving forward again. Just the one guy. And I'm talking about my team, right? Once they get beaten back, they don't move forward again. You see them up there, they're fighting. Now see how long they've been fighting up there. So they're not bad. It's not like they're bad players. They're just reticent for some reason. They need a little bit of the safety of the numbers. And that's where I get that school of fish. Safety of the numbers. Safety in numbers, you know? Less likely to be individually targeted. You know, and this is something, right, you know, I've complained about many times, right? I've been a bit of a whiner. You know, why are they always targeting me? Well, dude, dumbass. If you're always out there getting those front beacons and porting into their back line, well, you know what? You're kind of the guy out in front. Yeah, you reap what you sow, right? So, they're reticent. And now I'm up here fighting. I got a little frustrated because I was up here fighting for kind of a while with this one. And it took them a long time to move up. Like, I was here fighting and fighting. We had these 3 beacons. But once they got knocked back by the Reds, by the other guys, by the opponents, they really didn't come forward again. Not for a bit. They saw me here getting my butt handed to me, and said, "You know what? I'm good. I don't necessarily need that." But see, look at the sliver of health on that mauler. If just one of them had come up and poked around the corner, could have ended that guy. And at that point, I was just a little bit frustrated. So I decided to sit back and watch a little bit. See if they moved up on their own at all. I see the Reds moving. And I was like, I was getting ready to drop, but then I was like, nah. I'm just going to watch a little bit. And you notice we're down people too. Not just me. There we go. There's somebody came back. But we don't have, they're not all down. And Reds have taken the home, and I'm watching this because Reds have got 1, 2, 3 Titans up there. And 1 Titan sitting on this thing here. So they're essentially starting to work the spawn, right? And I'm like, okay. And I'm looking at the clock, and I'm thinking to myself, you know what? There's a fair amount of time left, too. What can I do? And then that guy rotated around. And that's when I saw, hey, they got nobody in the back line. I'm going to try to make a run for it. And you can see they're getting blasted back here. So I go, and at that point, I get picked up. But I got the teleport. And that gives me a chance to get out of ways, and I whack it again, skip by it, center all together, and I get to this one here, and I'm thinking to myself, oh man, look at that, 5 beacons, look at that, look how much have we lost right there. But I grab this one, and I see my guys fighting back. Again, it's not that they're bad, but they have a bit of that school of fish mentality. They're a bit reticent, right? So I'm like, okay, I'm going to go for it here. One guy's back here now. He saw me coming back, figured he would take me with the Samjuk. Which is, nope, sorry bud, not gonna happen. So another guy comes back to help out. This is good, or he might have got killed, and now he sees this. Got him. Fredericked up. Got that guy. Thought I was gonna go down here. Because, I've got almost no health left. Surprisingly, though, I managed to catch him. And he was running around at good speed, too. So I think he was jacked. Just like me. And then I went down. That's fine, though. Because look at the top. My guys moved forward. They came back. Right? My keeping 3 people busy up there was just enough. Just enough. There it is. I thought that was a heck of a good match. I felt pretty good by the end of that one. It's not like I was like, I was like the game breaker at all. I felt more like it was more like I was appropriately playing the flow of the game, the flow of the match, right? Not that I was making any kind of grand decisions. No, just that I was properly reading the flow of the game and acting on that. So I was happy with that. You see, it was a this was a territorial battle. There's not a lot of beacon transfers, and so there is something to be said for reading when it's not a beacon battle, but a ground battle, and adjusting accordingly. And I haven't really done that so much in the past because I haven't really worried too much about wins or losses. As a solo player, the only thing that really gets you going forward consistently is damage. So I typically only worry about damage. But you know, I'm in the clan. I'm not saying I'm going to be some sort of clan squad guy, but I do want to perform better than I have, and that means that I need to operate with a little more restraint and try to work the field a little bit more and worry a little less about damage. We'll see how that plays out. I like that one though. That game worked out good. One of the things that's tough for me, with the new clan kind of stuff, and partially why I try to go in and do kind of clan stuff, but like now I'm kind of back to doing my solo stuff. It's I don't know. Um, this wasn't the case in XOXO. It was a different group of guys, different stuff, right? But in this one, and in particular, I'm certain that most people have felt this way about something at one point in time or another, and that is, I like to get rid of these boom guys. And that is the third wheel, the fifth wheel, whatever, right? Odd man out. And in the new clan, I definitely feel like that, right? And it's not that these guys do anything with intent. No, they're all really good guys. But I'm kind of reclusive, kind of quiet, right? When it comes to I'm not very forward, right? As far as public stuff. So, and all these guys have squatted with each other a bunch before and know each other and stuff like that. And so, even though the clan's new, the relationships are not new at all. In that regard, I'm the new one. And you drop in the Discord, and they're all talking about stuff they've done before, done together. They're all talking very familiar, got their little inside jokes, and it's not that anybody's like intentionally leaving me out, but there's just no way for me to be in. You know what I mean? They've been doing this for a while. They got their thing. I am the odd man out. There's just no way around it, and I definitely feel it every time I've been in the chat. Granted, I've only been in the chat 2 or 3 times, maybe. No, I tried harder at these guys 3 or 4 times. But like I said, it's not that there's any intent there. And I'm sure everybody at one point in time or another, see the leech is going to get nerfed. But honestly, that and the Tulums and stuff. These things are they're kind of. I know they're supposed to be the ultimate, but they're not supposed to be single-handedly better than X, Y, and Z. You know, so I don't know. Like I said, I'm trying to be objective about it. I'm not going to be too bothered by these changes. I don't think. It's hard to say until you see the whole thing. But like what I was saying about the clan, though, I'm sure everybody has. I'm sure everybody's went into something where they were the odd person out of the group because the group was well established and really had their thing going, and you know, your job was, if you have one, is to try to figure out if there's a spot where you can fit in, right? Well, the other thing too is, what I was saying about if you want to play at the top, you got to put a lot of time in. Well, that's the other thing about these guys. They're the ones that want to be up there, so they put that kind of time in, and I don't. I'm a little more casual than that. So, I've thought about doing that, but I would only do that if I really kind of found myself in a mesh grouped with guys, and like they have. I was in a group and I know these guys for a long time, been playing with them forever, everything was super comfortable. Yeah, I probably, sit down for a couple of hours nonstop, on a daily grind with them, sure. But that's just not the case. Notice this little guy, he's not watching the blue, he's watching me. But he's watching the blue, he'll notice that it's an even battle right now. And by staying here, our bar is up, your bar is down. And as you watch these things, as he moves, we just do a transfer there. We still stay. Battle stays even. I swap my bots out. And decide to go for him because he was stealthy and being a pain. So this goes to some of what I spoke before about how there's an aspect to this game that is rock, paper, scissors, which is why one-on-one combat does not necessarily mean that one person is better than another. No. You have to see in-squad performance, because you can get caught in a rock, paper, scissors situation, and just because they kicked your ass in that situation, it doesn't mean they were better. It just means that they had the right tool for the job at the time and you did not. I'm not that great with this bot. It just means I need to play it more. And I don't so much, so I'm kind of weak with it. This thing here though, right? See the range? Trying to stay and actually be able to see it is tough because these things don't look up real well, and 200 meters almost puts them out of range really easily once they look up there. So I'm there trying to get him, and he just comes down and says, dick, and kills me. But that's it. And at this point here, we lost the final advantage on the beacons. And you'll notice at the top, I'm really, the one guy and me are really the only ones left. He tried to drop late, but actually it's still just me and the one guy. And so, is what it is. And this wasn't so much a matter that anybody did anything bad or wrong. It's just collectively we didn't have the stuff for this one. that guy cranking on the beacons. Top 3 people did. Bottom 2, nothing. But you know, it's not uncommon. It's a little different when you have like the bottom 4 did nothing, right? Then you're like, oh man. But in this case, it wasn't. It was pretty, with that one guy running around our side, and they had the one guy doing beacons on their side for a little bit. It seemed pretty straight up. So, win some, you lose some. And again, if you're solo, as long as you're in the top 3, you're going to just keep advancing. So. And I think this might be the last match in this lineup. And this is the match that I was like, oh my God. I didn't believe, I didn't think, yeah, I didn't think it would happen. I thought, oh my goodness. So now what's fun about this one is you'll notice something. I go over here, I grab this beacon, I turn around. Nobody moved forward. Nobody moved towards home beacon. Nobody moves towards center. One guy, 2 guys who decided to go over the wall and suicide themselves, I guess. It's a one-way trip. Nobody grabs center though, so then I go in here. And look, they're taking the beacons back I just took. And look, all my guys are still back there. I was looking at this like, oh man. Oh, there's one guy moving. But see, nobody's up there. And see, he didn't keep moving. He just went to there for some reason. Why didn't you keep coming up towards the beacon? Nothing. And look at them all. See them back there? They're still back there. Look at them. And I just came down to try to stop that guy from taking that one. Now I'm trying to get this one, finish this one off. And I went down and keep the guys from taking that one because look, they're not doing anything. There's just the one guy. So and you see that's that school of fish again. The reticence to move forward, right? Until there's some greater sense of security. Can't get that beacon. There's guys overhead, so I decide, okay, fine. I'll try to get the beacon on the other side, because you got to have 3 beacons. That's your number, 3. And I started taking a beating, so I went up here, figuring, okay, again, you're on the other side on Moon. You either go all the way around or through center, or you can't get back. So at this point, I'm watching them, and I'm deciding, okay, I'm just going to try to put some pressure on that other side, because my guys are still sitting back here. You'll notice you see little blue arrows to my right and beneath me. Those are in the wrong places. Crazy. See them? What the heck, guys? But this is again why you need to hold your ground. And so what I'm coming over here to do is, because see the bulk of the reds are over here, is just to use this, see that Leo, to apply pressure, push, get him back off this wall. See if I can catch this guy in a blast. There we go. Try to keep that Leo from moving forward because he's got a Fuji attached to him. And see, my guys are moving around a little bit now. See? It's safe enough for them to move. Well, a couple of them. Some of them still haven't moved. And I'm beginning to think that's how you get your randos to move. If you can make it look like it's safe for them to do so. Kind of a strange thought. Now that the Leo's gone, try to knock a couple quick kills off to soften the line. Another one of those darn miners back there. But, alright. Try to face down some Titan. He gave up the beacon though. Shouldn't have done that. Let me get it back and get a Frederick. And I went down there, but that's fine. Look, my guys finally moved forward. We got 4 beacons. They're working on the 5th one. And now I am dropping the Rust-Oleum Special. Just for defense. I'm not trying to take anything at this point. It is just to hold ground. We need to hold the beacons. They have to come down through here, so just load this up. See if I can lock them down with the shredder. Phase shift until my ability comes back and mine. Nothing back. And try to get another round of mines in if I can. Bar's gone though. Bar's gone. Game's over. There it is. I was absolutely amazed that those guys moved forward at that very, very end. I just flabbergasted. I thought, the way they were sitting back there and for so long, I thought they'd never move. But they did finally. And then, what's the funny thing is they didn't move to where you're supposed to go. They decided to go straight across the back side for some reason. The whole group of them. I don't understand. Now, if you look at this, look, the bottom 4 only got 1 beacon each. And it was at that very last beacon at the end. Bless their souls. And that's what took it. That's what took it. I thought that was a loss. That was awesome. So there was a couple good matches in there. There's some average matches in there, but there were a couple good ones in there. The one on Yama where we came back, and this one, I consider this one kind of a comeback too, really. So that's not too bad. Hopefully I'm not too busy this next week. I know I have at least one change control at night I have to do, but otherwise not so much. And then next week I have one, I think on the 21st. I don't know of any after that. And I go into the holidays, so I should be back to having a little bit more time to play. A little more time to ramble, I guess. Yeah. Today we had a dusting of snow. 24 degrees yesterday. I don't mind winter. Spent my whole life in the Midwest. I like the change of seasons. Anyways, I hope you're well. I hope you're enjoying yourself, and I hope you had a great weekend. As always, Take care out there, peeps.